podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Achtung Millwall. Broadcasting from beautiful South Barnsey, it's the #1 Millwall podcast. Accept no substitute.
When I was a little boy, I asked my mother, what would I be? That's a great theme song, listeners. I say so myself, self-created via the miracle of AI. Big welcome to you all, dear listeners, to Achtung Millwall. This is a Sunday night show. Normally, of course, we do the voicemails with Merv on a Monday morning. My schedule this week doesn't quite allow me much time tomorrow for various reasons, personal and medical. So I'm going to actually hold Merv's show over till Wednesday, when we can review where Millwall stands in relation to the drama, or will it be drama, of next Saturday. We are still in the hunt for second position, even despite the 1-1 draw at Leicester City on Friday night last. It will be a mathematical, beyond, what's the one up from Miracle? There's miracles and there's the kind of impossibilities almost. We probably need like a 20-goal win for for Southampton on Tuesday. But if Ipswich win, then it becomes that kind of level of turnaround. So I think if the Ipswich win on Tuesday night at home to Southampton, then next Saturday's game, sellout game at home to Oxford, will become something of a rest and recuperation project, in my opinion, with the amount of injuries and the overstretch of our squad that does look a little thin at times once you get past our first choice 11. We saw that on Friday night with the injuries to Josh Coburn and also pre-match to Caleb Taylor. But if Southampton can get anything out of Ipswich, then we'll still be in with a sniff of second position. I mean, that's a massive achievement. We will need QPR to do something at Ipswich, and as I've said a few times, it behoves any Millwall fan to go through their life depending on the likes of Charlton or Queen's Park Rangers to do anything to our benefit. So, but that's where we're at. We'll see. I think, as the song says, whatever will be, will be. I still think we have to take a stock of this magnificent season and see it for what it is, which is a huge, huge achievement. We're looking like we're going to be finishing third, one way or the other. Ipswich have a massive goal difference, so there's many, many permutations. Basically, if they win Tuesday night, I think we can pretty much say it's playoff football for certain. Any other results, and the fat lady will not be warming her voice up until Saturday lunchtime. We shall see. Now, they've got some voicemails for you, dear listeners. But first, I just wanted to give a big shout out to two guys that I was with at Leicester. Drove up Leicester to Leicester Friday night, and magnificent countryside, incidentally, listeners. Never really appreciated how beautiful the English countryside is around Leicestershire. I'm not saying Leicester City itself, that's pretty ex-industrial, but the countryside surrounding. I drove through a few villages with coaching, hunting, gun type pubs. Absolutely beautiful. If you were living there, then they would be your local for sure. It's a shame about Leicester City Centre. But I want to give a big shout out to the chaps next to me in the safe standing area at the King Power Stadium, namely the IDL, who's on Twitter. The IDL, he was a chap on my right. Big shout out to your IDL. And on my, I think he was just a couple of rows in front. He said hello to me on the way out of the stadium, Andrew Jameson. Big shout out to everyone. The support there at Leicester City was magnificent. I can't give any other word for it. The volume of noise reminded me of the cup final, the immense roar that took place in the second half of the cup final down at Cardiff all those years ago. The volume of noise, the wall of sound, monk chant, whatever you want to call it, that was generated. I think it's one of the most awesome sounds in football, and it clearly winds up the opposition. And it was just immense on Friday night. So I want to give a big shout out to everybody that travelled up to Leicester. But 1-1 it was, probably not enough in reality, and we will now have to gird our loins for playoff football, dear listeners. There we are. That's going to be my take on it, but we're going to play some voice notes now. And let's begin with Jaime, Mack and John Rankin, one after the other.
Hello, Nick. Bittersweet on an Anzac Day. morning here in Australia. In the end, settled for a point, and very, very pleased not to have to watch any more Gary Rowett football. I think that puts to death anyone who ever wanted to keep going out Rowett as a manager. Players definitely looked a bit tired after the big match against Stoke. Probably could have done with freshening up in hindsight. Cundall looked lively and energetic when he came on, and gave us more impetus. We had the chances, couldn't seem to take them. Losing Coburn was a big loss. Sitter should have been sent off. But then again, perhaps if there was VAR, we'd also be missing Cooper, which would be a big thing. Kind of leaves us clinging on a bit, hoping that Ipswich will lose to both West Brom and Southampton. But stranger things have happened. So we roll on. At worst, we've got the playoffs, but 1 point, the dream is still alive. Come on, you Lions.
Well, reporting in after that away game at Filbert Street, I watched the highlights when we got back to the hotel room, just had a quick look, and it said Lions salvage, a point. And I've got to say, that's what it was. I mean, I think that for me, if you're being hypercritical, I suppose when Josh Coburn had to go off, and I hope he's not badly injured, very early on in the game, I personally would have brought Barry Bannon on as well as Ivanovic. And the reason for that is, without that crash ball up front man, which Josh Coburn is, you then need the technicians to come in and make the chances. I'm not saying we didn't play well, but really, I think that completely threw Alex Neil, Josh Coburn going off. And it took us a long time to regroup. You could see it coming, really. How many times have we all been there as supporters? And I just had that feeling that, it wasn't going to happen for us that night. And the reason for that really was basically a little bit of, poor decision making up front. No one played badly. I think Derek played pretty well in the middle. He was very, very busy. Plenty of touches, and that's what you want for your midfielders. Thought Casperden was still a little bit of a work in progress, but a lot better than he was, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Femi Aziz, again, a threat, and Ballo played quite well. Although a couple of times, he's failing to do the basics. Is he a winger? I'm not quite sure. His instincts don't look like to be that of a winger to me. They look more to be of a sort of technician, attacking midfielder, really. I'm not too sure. When a winger receives the ball one-on-one, which he did quite a few times with a man to run at, and he decides just to hold it and wait for the fullback to overlap or just pass it back to the fullback, is that a winger? I expect wingers to take people on, and then if they can't get round them, not to lose the ball, to then come back and recycle the ball. But to not take a one-on-one man on, I think is where we suffered, really. At least the Marco, could go round a player, and we're lacking on that left-hand side. So anyway, being hypercritical, I think the guys played really hard. They tried their best. Ryan Leonard had a good chance on the right. Word about the referee, absolutely, ridiculous. We got absolutely nothing. I mentioned that Ryan Leonard chance. It came off a Leicester. Everyone in the stadium could see it come off a Leicester player. There was a couple of pretty dubious offsides, a lot of fouls which went unchecked, and then did get checked. Very inconsistent refereeing, and the inconsistency seems to fall against Millwall for some strange reason. So it's a point on the road. I think we're second. I think that's playoff football for us, though, realistically. When you look at who Ipswich have got, they've only now got to win one more game, I think, and that's it. They'll go up second. I'm not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure that's the numbers. So, we go on to the playoffs. It'll be the last match of the Den. Alex Neil still hasn't beaten Gary Rowett, as a side note. One manager he hasn't beaten. And I got to think, Rowett did a Rowett really. He's set up in a 5 and a 4 and a 1. And it's hard to break that sort of combination down. We did break it down. We got round them and crossed the ball in, but it just didn't happen for us on the night. There was loads of chances. Just didn't happen. So on to Oxford, last game of the season at home. And then to see what the playoffs bring us, and what a great thing to say. Come on, you Lions.
Big thank you, John. And before John, Jaime out there in Oz, Anzac Day. I saw it and I should have mentioned it, Jaime. So wishing all of our Australian listeners across the whole country a very happy, if that's the right term, Anzac Day. And as Jaime said, it's a bittersweet thing. He doesn't want to see any more Gary Rowett football. It was interesting watching the edited highlights, the extended highlights, I should say, on the club website today, because in the stadium and in the kind of emotional turmoil of the travelling support, 3,000 plus Millwall fans there, and as I've said already, an immense noise. It's quite hard to sometimes take that step back. I think in the cold light of day, when you're at home, you're looking on the screen. We actually created more chances than I think I gave it credit for. Had my video sound message at the end of the game, if that had worked, so I didn't have the microphone plugged in, so it didn't work. But my impression in the stadium was we hadn't unlocked or done enough to undo the Leicester defence, and their defence was basically to get men behind the ball. It seemed to me every time we put a ball in from the flanks that it was hitting a blue shirt, arms, legs, akimbo, all of that kind of thing. It would just come back out. We actually had more chances, better chances in the cold light of day than I probably gave it credit for in the stadium. But I do make John right. The loss of Coburn early on when he landed heavily was a big blow, and we didn't really look like we got going after that. We looked better in the second half once Alex Neil had a chance to rethink. The Barry Bannon question that John raises, I don't know. I mean, it's been a strange signing, to be honest with you, John, isn't he, Barry Bannon? I thought we'd see a lot more of him than we have seen. He's almost been brought in as a kind of like a mentor, I'm guessing. He seems to be quite popular, and when the players warm up, you look to see if he's talking, and he is, and I don't get any sense he doesn't get along with Alex Neil, but certainly Alex Neil only plays him late in games. He might have started one match, but more through having to rather than choosing to, if that makes any sense. So it's been a strange signing. Whether there's more drama yet to come with Barry, I don't know. He is a highly experienced and, let's be honest, highly talented midfielder. Then we have playoff dramas to come, so it may be that his day comes at that point. The same with Tommy Watson. Again, a disappointing signing in truth, but who knows? As Jaime said, stranger things have happened. It was a tired performance on Friday night. 2 games in just a few days takes its toll on the players. Let's see. John mentioned Tierno Ballo. I quite like him, John, but I do know what you mean about the wing play. But I thought he was looking quite dangerous. One of our, the previous game, the one that the previous match, not Borough. I'm fucking obsessed with Borough, me. The game at Stoke, I thought he was looking quite dangerous. But whether he's a striker, conversion of the winger, I don't know. I quite like him. I'd like to see us take another look at him next season personally, but that's a decision for the close season. Let's have a listen now to Lawrence Binnie, followed by Mike George, dear listeners.
Right, Nick, it's Lawrence Binnie here, calling in after Leicester 1, Millwall 1. I think, we're all quite disappointed after that result, and I think you can throw the recriminations around and say, why didn't we put in the level of intensity in that injury time period for the rest of the game, and where was the quality and where was the urgency? But I don't know, I just feel like watching that game sort of highlighted where our weaknesses are, and it's no shame to say that we've never really overly convinced as a automatic challenger. I think we found ourselves in this situation through kind of sheer doggedness, and it's a great credit to everyone that we're in this position. But we're kind of pretenders to it, aren't we? we look like a very solid top six outfit. You know, in a typical year, probably fifth, sixth place, but just lacking a bit of that quality. I would say we're probably a year or two ahead of where I thought we'd be this season, to be honest. I would have been, you know, at the start of the season, I think we all kind of felt like we could make the playoffs, and we would have been delighted to have made them, and we have made them. But I think, you know, if you'd said in August we finished seventh, I think most Millwall fans would have also said, oh, you know, fair enough. You know, it's a tough league always, even in the so-called easier years. And like, you know, thinking about where we were, like, you know, at the start of last season, we've really come on a long way. And I know we're probably going to lose a couple of players this year, almost certainly. Femi Aziz if we don't go up, but you know, like, trust the process. You know, and it's the playoffs. We bucked the trend under Jacket and Harris. You know, that kind of that sense that we, you know, like, playoffs are a lottery, and that kind of small club mentality we had going up against bigger teams in the playoffs, and you know, we punched above our weight. There's no reason why we can't do it again. I back us in a one-off game against anyone, especially against a side that keeps the ball and allows us to counter-attack. So yeah, let's have fun with the remaining games. I mean, who knows? Maybe Ipswich lose tomorrow and we're still in with a chance of the second place. But if not, you know, let's enjoy it, and we'll go again next season. Yeah. All right. Cheers, Nick. Bye.
Hello there, Nick. I guess following Millwall is all about managing expectations. So we went up to Leicester expecting 3 points, and we didn't get them. Not for the want of trying, though. I think we had so many chances that we didn't quite put away that it's almost unbelievable how we didn't manage to win, to be honest. Of course, losing Josh Coburn in the first 10 minutes is probably not a great idea. He looked as though he was up for it. He latched onto a long ball and got unceremoniously taken down. He was down for some 3 or 4 minutes while they treated him. It looked as though he had a problem which he tried to run off, something, either his hip or his back. And then in the centre circle, a couple of minutes later, he got taken out again, and he had done his back, or it looked like it, and it was a muscle thing. But I have to say, after that, the team rallied as much as they could. We had chances. Actually, Ryan Leonard had a really good chance in the first half. He was unlucky not to have got his goal, but he played quite well. His one long throw that he took was a bit disappointing, to be honest. And eventually Leicester kind of bundled the ball in, but this was a Gary Rowett side that were there designed to stop us winning and them not to lose. So they bundled the ball in. Okay, it just about went over the line. Jake Cooper and Patterson down like a sack of spuds under the attentions of 2 Leicester players, or a Leicester player. And it was looking pretty desperate at this time. Of course, the Leicester fans, and there weren't many in there, let's be honest. The stadium was half full, although they quoted 28,000 in the ground. There was never 28,000 in the ground. There was certainly 3,500 or 3,300 Millwall fans who totally dominated the airwaves. Best support I've seen for a long, long while. Really great atmosphere. And we kept pushing the team, and they kept having to go. They kept on pushing away, and eventually it was Ryan Leonard again, who some people were having a go at, which I can't quite believe. He set the ball up for McCall in Langstaff,
2 or 3 steps and bang, back bottom of the goal to equalise, which felt like a winner. But in retrospect, after the game, a draw doesn't really do us any good, does it? I mean, we were hoping to put pressure on the likes of Ipswich and whatever, and we haven't done that. So it is very much now a case of winning against Oxford next week and hoping that other teams do us favours. Well, I don't think we should hold our breath waiting for that one. We're definitely in the playoffs. We have a mathematically outside chance of getting in that coveted second spot. But we shall have to see. We can only do what we can do. Oxford next week, end of season. What a season it's been. Absolutely amazing season. No Millwall fan can really have dreamed it would ever be this good, but it is. So all we can say is, come on, you Lions.
Achtung, Millwall.
Huge thank you to Lawrence Binnie and Mike George before that little break riff there, the Achtung riff. Yeah, disappointment, a sense of disappointment. I suppose it is human nature out there, listeners, when you've had a golden carrot within... Why is it a golden carrot? I don't know. Anyway, you've had something gold dangled in front of you and you can reach out and almost touch it. Like the Greek legends, going back to ancient Greece, aren't we? The Tantalus, it moves out of touch. So that is with second position. The truth is, as I think both Mike and others have said, it's a massive achievement to get into the playoffs and to have a shot at the big time. I mean, it looks like we're going to be playing anyone from Wrexham, Derby and Hull City, all of whom seem to me, bold talk coming, alert, eminently beatable from a Millwall perspective in a two-legged scenario, and then it's on to a Wembley final, one-off. Well, anyone can win one-off games, can't they? So, we are still in with the best opportunity in 25 years, and then prior to 25 years, we've got 2 attempts in the early 90s, which didn't quite work out. Let's hope any playoffs don't end in riot. That's all I'm hoping for, listeners. It's a tough league. Lawrence said it's a tough league. Will we get another shot like it? I think Alex Neil said something similar. Enjoy it because you never know when it's going to be coming back. The lack of depth is the thing. I think Lawrence mentioned squad weaknesses, and he mentioned the word pretenders, which caused me to look up the lyrics to The Great Pretender, famously covered by Freddie Mercury, but it was an old soul number, wasn't it? A doo-wop kind of number, The Great Pretender. I seem to be what I'm not, as the gist of The Great Pretender's lyrics. And I do wonder sometimes whether our lack of depth in the squad is making us seem to be what we're not. Dear listeners, once you get past the Josh Coburn injury, for example, we're then bringing in Mihailo Ivanovic, great top scorer last season, but a very different kind of striker to what we were geared up for. And there isn't much else. I was going to say, and dear old Macaulay Langstaff, but of course he did score a brilliantly executed finish from a lovely move when that little kind of 1-2 with Ryan Leonard. And as I said in the other show, it's a reminder that we actually signed Langstaff as a goal-scoring, forward. Instead, he's turned to something of a Tom Bradshaw industrial run here, run there merchant. But he can score a good goal. That was a beautiful strike and beautiful finish. There may be dramas yet to, storylines yet to play out. The playoffs are inherently dramatic and tense, and we'll see. But playing 2 games in a few days didn't help our cause. Mike mentioned Ryan Leonard's long throw. The chap next to me in the stadium was berating. That's a good word. Berating the choice of this kind of long throw tactic. Everyone does it nowadays, but our long throw isn't particularly long. And I do wish sometimes we'd mix it up, even if I don't say do away with it. It's worth a go. But more often than not, it doesn't achieve much in the Millwall context. So why not, throw it to somebody who can put the ball in with some direction, flight and power. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Anyway, big thank you, Lawrence. Big thank you, Mike. I'm going to play 2 more together. I'm going to play Barnsey and then Adam Wicks. Take it away, Barnsey.
Hello, Nick. It's Barnsey here. I thought I'd give you a quick shout about last night's game versus Leicester. The hoodoo continues. Mr. Gary Rowett has over our manager with another notch on his belt of not beating him. But so I'm just taking a sip of coffee. I think it was a tired performance. I think, the effort's there. I think, the rumours flying around that Taylor wasn't going to be fit was true. I don't know what it is, his injury. Hopefully it's not too bad and we can get him back because we missed him. And obviously it was a straightforward swap, being Leonard in and put Kramer into the centre. And I think both players playing out of position, should we say, did really well. I thought Leonard was very good, lovely little touches. And he set up the goal, but we'll come back to that. But I thought but we missed the dynamic. Kramer up and down that side, don't we, with Aziz, and Aziz looked a little bit lost without his best mate. But, I thought we looked comfortable. I don't think we looked in any real danger. I thought we moved the ball around really well. Seeing the team run out there with not many changes. And then, I don't know what it is. I don't know if other teams have the same situation, but, you lose your centre-half before the game, and it's a bit of a blow, and then you lose your centre-forward, which is, it's just a Millwall thing, isn't it? It's just the most frustrating thing. A player that's been playing so well, and you're up against two absolute giants in this game, and one player you need out there would be Coburn. And then he gets injured, and it's just so bloody frustrating and unlucky. And then, Ivanovic, we're hoping Coburn, when he goes down, he was like, oh, God, please get up. And he got up, and he's thinking, hopefully it's just an impact injury and we can get through it because, we need that fella. And, we haven't got a like for like of that kind of player in the team. And Ivanovic come in, and I thought he'd done very well because he got battered, absolutely battered. I think his nose broken now. But he done well. He stood up to the challenge, and I should be commended for that. But losing Coburn against those big, huge giants of centre-half was always going to be a battle. And we didn't have that presence like we've been having. So it is what it is. Made the changes. A few shirt changes as well for Ivanovic. He had a tough night, and we still kept creating chances. Leonard had a shot, obviously, for some reason, went off for a goal kick. Linesman, no idea what he was doing there, or the referee. Made some baffling decisions as usual, the referee and his team. But 0-0 at half-time, looked all right. And then they scored this goal. Not really much, didn't really create much, did we? But, is what it is. And then this goal, which was just another unlucky goal where, Patterson pushes it, and it hits Cooper and goes in. It's just like, it's just one of those things, isn't it? And I was thinking, we ain't going to get back into this game. Then he makes the changes, brings Bannon on. And Langstaff, who scored some very, very important goals for us. And, hopefully this goal will be the most important of the lot because it's taking a loss to take in a point. Point's better than nothing, isn't it? And it's, we could have won it at the end. Obviously, Aziz had the header. But was it a fair result? I think we probably were the better team. But I think the most important thing was to get a goal in front against this team because supporters who were there would have been down on it and would have thought that's it again. But, when you're playing Gary Rowett's team, they don't tend to give up, especially against Millwall. So, but I think the important thing, get a goal ahead and then bring, annoy the crowd, annoy the players, get the head down, but we didn't do that, and unfortunately. But, we showed character, we got back into the game, and Langstaff's finish was brilliant. Well, great finish, lovely little flip from Leonard around the corner. And then we go in looking for that win, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So a point away from home, but it just shows how far we've come because we're disappointed that we haven't come away with 3 points and put pressure on the teams chasing us. But stranger things have happened. We know the situation with the referees with Ipswich, no doubt. It's probably worth putting a punt on. They're going to get a penalty, which normally happens. So I'm not bitter, you can tell. But if we can, we've got to look, over the games. It wasn't Leicester that we've, dropped points. It was against, the Blackburn, the Portsmouth games. They're the games that we've lost the points against, not last night. Because away a point is always decent. But, we're at the sharp end of the season now and it feels frustrating. But the dust herself down. We wait for other results. You never know. It might go away, but you know where things are. But we are in the playoffs and fuck me, what a season we've had. And it is, we're all so proud of everyone at that club. And, we've got a few more games, haven't we? Which is fantastic. But without being rude, I really want to play one more game. And then we celebrate going up because it would be an absolute achievement. But we will see. let's hope, let's pray, let's get the old healing hands out on Coburn's, whatever it is. Could be anything. But yeah, let's all pray. Not religious at all, but let's get that bloke back on the pitch, and hopefully we can get Dowie out there. And, you know, Smallbone was on the bench last night. It'd be great if he could come in at the winner against Oxford and Southampton slip up and then they go in the playoffs. But we will see. Just get some players back and we go again. But I'm proud of the boys. I think I'm proud of everyone. And just hope we can get over the line by next week and get that second place. All right, mate. Take care. Bye. Sorry, I missed out one thing. It's Barnsey again. One thing. Sky were reporting about Jake Cooper's tackle. This is what pisses me off about football. I'm on one today. Is if anyone's played the game of football, the ball is bouncing. You're both going for it. Your both eyes are, you know, if both players are going in for a tackle and they're not looking to hurt each other, they're both looking at the ball. Okay, so Sky reports, should it have been a red with Jake Cooper? No, because both players are going in for the ball. The fella nicked the ball just before Jake got there. So they slow it down, or they take these pictures like they do in the Epoxy Premiership, and it always looks worse when they slow it down, or they show, you know, the foot connecting to the other foot and it is higher. Jake Cooper's got his eye on that football, and so has the other fella. The Leicester fella, don't care his name, nicked the ball in front of Cooper, and Cooper's come down and he's caught the fella, gets a yellow card, who cares? But this is what pisses me off. It's all about trying to, you know, get people sent off, and it just winds me up. It really winds me up. I've gone back on the Twitter thing, but anyone who played the game, I think people just put it out there just to, you know, clickbait and all that rubbish. And if we get in the Premier League, we've got to deal with that, because that will be a straight yellow, a straight red. And we've got to have to contend with this rubbish. But that really frustrates me in football now. And that's why I get so angry with it, because it's just, it grates me so many. But there you go. That's my little moan from last night. I had to write up with that. But that's Sky for you. Anyway, mate, take care. Bye.
Morning, Nick. Just Adam Wicks here, just leaving my thoughts after last night's 1-1 draw away at Leicester. I think whilst the results probably, that's obviously done us, isn't it, for second place, realistically. You know, I think it's just one of those games where we just needed, I think, you know, Alex Neil said it in his post-match, where we just needed to be a bit more ruthless when opportunities and semi-opportunities presented themselves. I thought it was a bit of an odd sort of game watching it from the stand, but not odd, but we seemed to be, it looked to me like we were pretty much 80% dominant in that game, but we sort of were dominant without playing with enough sort of urgency. I didn't feel really until Leicester scored, which was a shame, because I think if we could have just turned it up, sort of 5 or 10%, 5%, 2% probably would have been enough. We probably would have taken them to the cleaners. Obviously, massive blow losing Coburn so early in the game. I think he would have been, he obviously would have been a handful, and gives us that platform we need to play off. Ivanovic really doesn't. He's not the same forward as Coburn, is he? You've got to play in a different way to get the best out of him, which we don't, unfortunately. The game just sort of started to drift, didn't it? I thought we were a really good second half. I thought the crowd was really, really good and really supportive. I thought, there was a period in the first half where we were totally dominant, and we really needed to find a way to score then. Always worries you, doesn't it, in the second half when the clock starts counting down rather than up, and time starts to run away from you. But I think, like I said before on many of these voice notes, it's been an amazing season. The one of the best seasons I've witnessed since, well, in my life really. But it's definitely in the top sort of 5, isn't it? I think. There's still plenty of football to be played. If we do, likely we end up in the playoffs now. We've got more than enough to to go toe to toe with any of the teams in there. There's nothing to be afraid of, and let's just see how things go. Try and enjoy it. I think that's the key as well, because this don't come around very often, and it's hard. It's easy to get nervous and let your sort of nervous energy take over, when I think, we should just be trying to enjoy this as much as possible, and just take it for what it is, which is a really fantastic football season. We've got a great squad, a great manager. We're probably just a little bit light on depth in a couple of positions, which I think has probably cost us. And the irony of Gary Rowett taking, a last-minute goal away at Oxford when he was manager, taking 2 points off us, and yesterday stifling us when Leicester have been absolutely rubbish pretty much since he's taken over, and docking us at 2 points again is not lost on me. We had those, it's all ifs and buts, isn't it? But we really could have do with those 4 points now. We'd pretty much be home and hosed. But there we go, that's football, isn't it? Anyway, on to Oxford, and come on, you Lions.
I said to Ben on the other show, listeners earlier on, Gary Rowett would be a pub quiz question: which managers managed two teams that got relegated in the same season? That's Oxford and now Leicester City. I thought, in fairness, he's become a bit of a cartoon figure, Gary Rowett. I thought he did a great job for us to his limit. His style of football, for which he's earned his own chant, gets brought out regularly by home fans and away fans, I dare say. In Leicester's case, he's got resources. He's got some very expensive players there, but his instinct is to squelch the game and to hit on the break, and it almost worked for them on Friday night. The goal, when it came, was the one decent cross they had. It was a decent cross, and it found Sutar, I think is the boy's name. He's a massive giant of a defender, and he did make both Kramer and Jake Cooper look small by comparison. That's not often you can say that. There he was at the far post to bundle it over the line. There it goes in, don't matter. But that was Gary Rowett's style in a nutshell. And that's to, it's never going to be pretty. It's not attractive, but it's effective. I didn't mind Gary Rowett. He gets a lot of hate. But I think Adam's right. Wasn't enough urgency in the first half. The loss of Coburn, others have said that. I think Barnsey said it. Really put us on the back foot. We didn't really know what to do, and I think the lack of urgency was a consequence of Plan A not working anymore. Plan B took a little while to come to fruition. That took half time. Bad Millwall luck. Barnsey was talking about the injuries to Taylor, a foot injury of some sort. You read all sorts of things online. I'm not going to speculate on whether he's broken his foot. Some have put on there a foot injury. I don't know, but the lyrics of the Born Under a Bad Sign, the old blues number, Led Zeppelin cover, the Born Under a Bad Sign was almost made for Millwall. I think the reason for us falling slightly short in terms of the nice dream, the result has left us just falling a little bit short for second position. And the reason for that is lack of depth of squad, isn't it? We are light in reality in terms of the target man position that we play to. We've only got really Josh Coburn. I haven't seen... Ivanovic did well, but he's playing an alien game for him. He's more of a skill kind of merchant rather than the physical side of the game that Josh Coburn revels in, although he did get injured for it, so that's the price you pay for that kind of approach. So we're light there. We could do with someone off the bench that could take over the battering ram role. Bring back Paul Moody. Don't know if he's still out there. But we're also a little bit light in terms of take your pick between the defensive central position with Kramer moving across from the right back, or are we light on the right back position because Kramer is a central defender by trade. So we're light in terms of, once Taylor was injured, Kramer's come back to his natural position where he hasn't played for a while, but they were then not making do. I thought Ryan Leonard did a great job, and it was his vision that produced the equaliser that was finished by Macaulay Langstaff. We've mentioned that already, but those are two areas I think that's probably got to be focused on once the summertime's upon us. Who knows which league we're going to be in, because it isn't out of the question for us to finish second. It probably does require some outlandish twists of turns of fortune, but certainly the playoffs offer the more realistic route for Millwall to get into the Premier League still, and that is in a top 5 category, as Adams put it, ever for our club. I mean, if you discount the late 80s promotion and then finishing 10th in the old First Division after a tremendous season, that exists almost on its own plane of existence. It's something so outrageous that it almost seems like a dream to look back at those days. But if you put that to one side as its own category in a sense, you know, we've not done much better. We've been in the Championship playoffs twice, Championship level, back in the early 90s, 3 times. Early 90s, twice in the early 90s, and then obviously under Mark McGee in 2002. So this is in the top 5 ever seasons. And I would temper your disappointment as you're managing your expectations, as others have put it. I'm going to take a short break, then we're going to be coming back with Bobby T, dear listeners.
Achtung, Millwall.
Achtung, Monica. I know you're above me, but you know what really annoys me? We're playing a team who are fucking relegated. And the pressure, I think, is getting to our boys, mate. We ain't turned up yet. Camel Leggy should have played Ballo in. Like, I don't know. It's got to be a big second half, Nick Hart. Bobby T, love you. Bye. Achtung, Nick Hart. I'm not going to rant and rave. I'm not going to fume. We didn't want it. We did not fucking want it. Macaulay Langstaff, thanks for the ticket. Love you too. Ipswich ain't losing 2 games in a row to go to the last game. We didn't want it. We didn't deserve it. We scored, then we start playing. I mean, come on. And Kobanov injured. He should have scored. He got injured. Mihailo, whatever. It's done. Great season. Achtung Millwall and Nick, Alex, Neil. Playoffs it is, unless barring a miracle, God's a Millwall fan, and they let Ipswich do the next 2 games. They've been cheating on penalties. We're just not good enough to finish the job off. Our chances today, relegated Leicester. I'm a bit crestful. Bye for now, Bobby T. Walking to the station. Bobby T, love you all. Next season, I think it's Championship. Love you. Nick Hart back at King's Cross. I'll be honest with you, Camel Leslie, man of match for me. But as I said, basically, Coburn and Taylor, if Coburn stays on, there you go, there's the boys at King's Cross. So, I think, still got to believe, no one likes Nick Hart, Achtung Millwall. Nick Hart, listen. Southampton West Brom, they can still do us a favour. I still got to believe. Josh Coburn stays on the pitch. We win that game. Missing Camel Taylor, Nesley man of the match for me. He was everywhere. But basically, I'm not going to lie to you. Camel Leslie should have played in Ballo. Ballo's header was poor. Right at the end, Femi Aziz, all he had to do was head it back. Boom, 2-1. Fine margins, as Alex Neil says. We go again. Still believe. Love you. Love you, Achtung Millwall. Safe journey. Good seeing you, Bobby T.
Big shout out, Bobby T. I saw you outside the ground up at Leicester there, Bob, didn't I? Well done for going, mate. Well done for the 3,200 that made it up there. Wasn't a particularly easy time of night to get back to central London, you know, the dead of night, and then find your way home from there. So well done, everybody. I got home about 1 o'clock by the time I've driven back and stopped off for something to eat and, you know, ablutions and all that kind of thing. So well done, the 3,200. They've certainly made themselves heard. I don't agree that they didn't want it, Bob. I think we left everything on the pitch, as the expression has it. I think our petrol tank was empty by the final whistle. Quality's the thing. I mean, we created more chances than I gave them credit for on the night, as I've said a few times on this show. But some nights it's just not it don't go your way. Leicester City, relegated side. Gary Rowett's football is not easy to play against. He looks to squelch and spoil, and You know, I don't think that helped our cause, but mostly for me it was down to that early loss of Josh Coburn, which I think just disconcerted everybody, including the manager, as others have said. I do agree about Camille Negley, man of the match. What a prospect and what a find that boy is. Let's see where we finish at the end of this dramatic season. This is, like I just said on the previous message, this is amongst the top 5 seasons ever as a Millwall supporter. So relish it and enjoy it. Now then, we're going to play 3 together. We're going to play David Liederkramer, Glyn Horner and Rob Woodford. So first up will be David.
Hi Nick, David Liederkramer here on Sunday, a couple of days after the Leicester game. I think, like everybody else, I was disappointed by the result. Obviously, we would have loved to have won and put more pressure on Ipswich. But even with a win, I think Ipswich would have been very much the favourites for automatic promotion in any event. Having said that, I thought that we had a lot of chances in the game. We dominated Leicester, and perhaps with Coburn on the pitch, I think we would have won that game quite comfortably. Given the fact that Leicester had so many players of quality, it's extraordinary how poor they looked. And even somebody like Gary Rowett, who's pretty good at man management, was unable to sort of really get them going at all. It was odd. Harry Souttar for them played well, and I thought that he had a very good match. I suppose if he'd been fit for most of the season, it might have looked a bit different for them in terms of relegation, but this is about Millwall, not Leicester. I think the 2 points I just wanted to make were, firstly, I'm obviously concerned about Coburn. I do hope that he's not seriously injured. He went off and it didn't look good. I think he's got a gash to the right hip. Hopefully there's no more serious damage than that. I think it leaves us with a conundrum, though, regarding what to do about the game against Oxford. I think if Ipswich win or get a good result against Southampton on Tuesday night, it's pointless playing Coburn against Oxford. Better give him the rest and ensure that he can be available for the playoffs. On the other hand, of course, if we've got a sniff of a chance, it's going to be a difficult call for Alex Neil, assuming that Coburn is, say, 50-50. That's a decision I certainly don't envy him making. The second point really is to remark upon how good a player Negley has become in terms of this season. He started off, he wasn't really adjusting to the Championship, but my goodness, he's got class, he's got absolute quality, and there's no doubt in my mind that he can play in the Premier League, perhaps not at the very top level, but certainly for a mid to lower Premier League team, and we are very fortunate to have him. He looks good on the ball, his decision-making is much better than it was, and I think that he's really been a standout, particularly since Christmas, so great that we've got him. I thought Barrow had a good game as well, which was good. No sign of Doughty, so I've no idea what's happened to him. Maybe he will be available for the playoffs. I hope so, because he is a good player when he's on it. No question about that. Lovelace didn't feature, which was slightly odd. I would have thought that, given our lack of options up front, he might have been given a place in the squad. Perhaps we'll see him against Oxford. And then finally, like I'm sure everybody else is saying, incredibly proud of this team. Really fantastic achievement to get into the playoffs, given where we start, given our resources and the teams that we're playing against and their resources. They've done brilliantly. We are top of the away league table, and we cannot be challenged for that, even by Coventry. So that's a fantastic achievement. It's oddly the home form with our 7 defeats so far, hopefully not 8, that have caused us problems, which is extraordinary given how difficult often the Den is reputed to be as a place to come for away teams. But anyway, I couldn't be prouder of the team. It's been a wonderful season so far. Let's see if we can carry on and get to the Premier League. Come on, you Lions.
Hi Nick, Glyn here. So we got cutting edge when Coburn went off, didn't we? And it was a great challenge from Chowdhury. I'm not going to criticise that. Coburn was just very unlucky the way he landed, and I hope he's back soon, because as soon as he went off and Ivanovic came on, we saw the difference between the two players. Ivanovic is not the kind of player that can lead the line on his own at the moment. I think he can do. I think it will happen at some point in his career, but right now, he just seems to be a little bit lightweight, and Souttar, who should have gone for elbowing him in the face, sort of knocked the stuffing out of him for the first half, and it was only really in the second half I think Ivanovic started to come into his own. But I still think Ivanovic is more effective when he's got a foil to play with, and that would normally be Coburn. In this instance, that didn't happen, so that's a shame. I think Crammer, for me, looks stifled playing at centre back, and he makes mistakes with Hollywood passes out of centre back that he'd get away with playing at full back because he's playing them further up the pitch. And the sooner Taylor comes back and Crammer moves back to right back, the stronger we will be. Although, I credit to Ryan Lendl, he's been out for a long time to play a full 90 minutes at right back. He rightly looked absolutely exhausted in the last 20 minutes of the game. So, we will need to cover for him. He can't be expected to play the last 3 games, especially in the playoffs at right back. If we can get Caleb Taylor back, that would be ideal. I think Mazusaka as well, just word of caution, really. I'm sure everybody knows this, but I mean, young players will have dips in form. They'll play well, and he's quality. He will be great. But there will be games where he plays well for 2 or 3 games, and then he will disappear for a few games, and then he will come back and play well again. And we saw that with Ballo as well. Let's give these young lads time to develop. They will become consistent in time as they grow more experience. And certainly it's exciting times ahead. So come on, you Lions. Let's go and nail these playoffs.
Well, where do we start? Well, look, I'll refer to your post-match report on Twitter from the King Power Nick. And the headline, we'll have to settle for the playoffs. Well, we've come a long way for us to say we have to settle for an amazing season and an incredible top 6 finish. As for the match itself, unfortunate with those injuries to 2 key players, yes, but a third game in 6 days really took its toll, and too many individuals in the team last night were a bit below par, let's be honest. And it was always going to be a tough task to accumulate 9 points in a 6-day spell. We also struggled with set pieces last night without the additional physical presence of Caleb Taylor and Josh Coburn. Add to that, in my opinion, for all his attacking threat, Tristan Kramer has gone right off the boil as a defender in recent games, with clumsy, heavy first touches and weak clearances. And I thought he was a liability at times. There was lots of industry in midfield, as you would expect with those two. But if only we had a more creative player, a bit like Harry Wicks, I suppose. And so perhaps this summer's recruiting will be looking for giving us the middle section an upgrade. I'm hoping anyway, because we could really do with one of those once-in-a-generation midfielders who can also score goals. A Keith Weller, a John Seasman, and Alex Ray, a Tim Cahill. Looking at Leicester City's dramatic fall from grace, 3 relegations in 4 seasons, we are so fortunate that to not only have the backing of the Berylson family, but to have a culture that ensures that we are a well-run club financially. I'm sure the late, great John Berylson recognised from a very early stage that Millwall is a club built on loyalty, a story of perseverance, pride and passion that continues to this day. The club are now backed by over 10,000 season ticket holders for next year. I never thought we would make the playoffs ever again once the parachute payments were introduced in 2006, a system that ensures that the Premier League could look after their established yo-yo clubs. The playoffs, well, since our defeat at Coventry, we are unbeaten in 9 games on the road. One thing is definite, that is, if we beat Oxford, we cannot finish lower than 3rd, and that would not only represent a remarkable achievement, but it will also be our best ever points total, 83, in all of the 49 seasons we have played at this level. But we are on a journey, with some way to go before we reach the top of this upward cycle in our history. Come on, you all!
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Glyn. And before Glyn, it was David Liederkramer. Big thank you to all three boys there. Yeah, I mean, it is a huge season, listeners. And I didn't mean to, it was meant ironically, my title, Rob. I don't think irony travels on X, Twitter, sometimes, listeners, does it? Settling for the playoffs, which is amongst, as we've said on this show already, amongst the top 5 seasons ever as a Millwall fan, was meant ironically. Probably didn't come across. I apologise for my lack of nuance in that post. It was interesting just talking about Leicester, as Rob mentioned there. Their stadium's got huge, great awnings of their recent silverware. Anyway, Premier League obviously being the jewel in the crown, 2015-16 from memory. I think they got an FA Cup win in that time, and the Championship trophy, the Old Football League trophy, all up on the awnings of the stadium. And their ownership there, King Power, now like the devil's incarnate. They've got a statue outside, and I'm not sure about statues to owners, listeners. This is a thing that you often see people calling for a statue to John Barrelson, and they do have a statue there to their Thai owner. I can't remember his name. I probably couldn't pronounce it properly if I did, so I won't try. His nickname was The Boss, and there's a statue over in the corner as you approach the stadium. But it looks a bit, to me, it looked a bit gauche. I don't, lacks class, in my opinion. Make it a player, make it someone of stature. It don't look quite right, but that will probably draw me a lot of criticism from the Leicester point of view. But it's interesting, their roller coaster ride of up there with the heights, and then now they're on the downward slope. It's interesting that parachute payments aren't all they're cracked up to be if you're mismanaged. We haven't, it didn't do Luton Town much good. It hasn't done, Leicester City much good either, is it? So whether they're the exceptions to the rule or I don't know, but there we are. David asks, where's Alfie Doughty? And that's a good question. I know he's one of our own, and when he does play, he's highly skillful, but he hasn't really contributed enough. He's spent more time out injured than available, but he's hoping that he does make a comeback for these critical playoff games. Whether we'll see the artist formerly known as Zach Lovelace as well, that's another interesting question. A lot's going to depend on whether Josh Coburn recovers. I hope he does, because we're going to need him. Glyn mentioned Kramer not being in the right back position. Am I imagining it, listeners? You can tell me, but hasn't Ryan Leonard played in the central defensive position in his time? I know he's played in midfield, and he's become a right back by common consent in recent years. But hasn't he played as a central defender in his time? Just a thought. Not that I'm going to send it into Alex Neil or anything like that, but that was just a thought. That would allow us to reconstitute the right back Kramer and Aziz double act, wouldn't it, listeners? Anyway, there we are. We're going to play us out now on the show with Martin Colwell and then Rob Abbott. Big shout out to Rob, who I know shuttle diplomacy between England and Dublin to follow the lines. That is a measure of what Rob Woodford was just mentioning there, the pride and the loyalty and passion of our support. So I'm going to give a big shout out to Rob Abbott, who shuttles between the Republic and England on a very regular basis to follow Millwall. So anyway, first up Martin, then Rob. I'm going to say a big thank you to you, dear listeners, for tuning into this edition. I'll be back on Wednesday. I'm going to have a conversation with Merv in the wake of the Tuesday night Southampton versus Ipswich fixture. We're going to see where we stand going into the final day of the EFL season. So I'll be back on Wednesday with Merv. But until then, from me, Nick Hart, it's Arrivederci Millwall. Chins up, dear listeners. It's playoffs time, I think.
Hello, Nick. It's Martin Colwell. Hope you're well. Right, I journeyed up to Filbert Street for the Leicester game. Been to only a few away games this season. I haven't actually seen Millwall win away this season. So maybe it's me. I've decided I'm not going to go to the playoff away game because, I must be bad luck on them. Struggled a bit, I thought, because of the injuries. Because although I don't doubt Ryan Leonard as a Millwall player, he's not Tristan Kramer going down the wing, is he? And we also miss Caleb Taylor. So, but I think we're going to have to suffer that because, we could be doing that the rest of the season now, couldn't we? But I mean, I thought we started okay. We looked a bit tired, didn't we? To me, and then really the Coburn injury did us in, really, didn't it? You know, I was saying to a bloke after that, I think we're in trouble now. You know, in terms of goal scoring with Coburn going off, because Ivanovic is not a centre forward, is he? He's a player who wants to play off centre forward. So we're wasting our time really playing him at centre forward, especially against Sutar, who's just going to pick him up and carry him around and put him in his handbag. But yeah, what can we do? We didn't sign anyone, did we? We didn't sign another centre forward in the window, did we? And that's our biggest mistake this season, not doing that. Yeah, but I mean, we did create chances. I think we lacked, the goal made a couple of saves, but we lacked a fair bit of composure in front of goal, I thought. You know, there was a lot of snatching and there were some good balls put in, but no one really going at it. And it was a struggle. And I thought that in the second half, Barry Bannon should have come on earlier. Well, a lot earlier, to say give him 20 minutes plus injury time so that he could do something, because he can unlock things. And I didn't think the players who were coming on or, you know, in the midfield could actually... They were running about a lot and getting stuck in, but they weren't really creating, and we needed a bit of creative spark. And we could have even put Barry Bannon out on the left, because I think it's a waste of time putting Tommy Watson on, because he just looks devoid of confidence and just dreadful. And I think, yeah, we could have done that, but, you know, we could have done a lot of things, couldn't we? And that's up to the manager to do, really. But thought we could have done better from the goal. I know Sutar's bigger than everyone, including Jake Cooper, but, you know, there were three of them there, and surely one could have tried to block him off, and the goalie could have tipped it over. I thought that was a really bad goal to concede. I thought, you know, once you see Suter coming in, you're just getting someone to try to block him off. And if you're not blocking him off, if he's pushing you out the way, at least you're slowing him down and giving the goalie a chance to react, or Jake Cooper to head it out. But that was a bad goal. We rallied, and I thought Leicester went into their shell and we got the equaliser. And then we had more chances, didn't we? You know, and then there was that lack of quality in injury time in front of goal. Femi Aziz had a couple of touches with his head, and both efforts were poor. But, you know, it is what it is. We have to go forward now, don't we? If the Oxford game's dead, then we need to rest, you know, about 6 of the players, don't we? And just play a scratch team, you know? We can't risk injuries. And we need to get... I think Caleb Taylor, they say, broken his foot, so he won't play anymore. But Jake Coburn should recover, but let's give him a break. You know, we can play anyone at centre forward against Oxford. It don't matter, because if the game's dead, you know, don't matter. We need to be ready for those playoffs. Difficult to pick out a man of the match. Probably the supporters for getting behind the team through thick and thin. You know, it was very scrappy, wasn't it? And, you know, Zach Sturge was doing well apart from his final ball, wasn't he? You know, and that you can't really give it to him. So I'm gonna miss that out, really, man of the match. But yeah, I mean, you know, let's have a break now and let's hopefully have something to play for against Oxford. If not, you know, under 21s into the team, I would guess. And then get ready for the playoffs, which are going to be very, very tough, aren't they? You know, it's going to be a real battle. But anyway, come on, you Lions.
Hey Nick, how are you? Rob Abbott, just leaving you a message after our 1-1 draw at Leicester. First off, I must say that was the best atmosphere all season, but no surprises in that. Probably the best atmosphere since Burnley away last year. The noise levels were through the roof for half an hour prior to the game, all the way to the very end. So credit to all 3,000 and a bit of us that were there. Secondly, I saw loads of rumours earlier today while travelling across that Taylor's broke his foot or Taylor's gone for the season. You never know how true these rumours are, and then obviously when you see the lineup, he's not there. It's a big blow to us, not only with his ability defensively, aerially, and on the ball, because he's had a great season. It means that we have to break up the Kramer and Aziz partnership down the right-hand side, and Kramer has to slot inside. Lenny come in. Lenny always does a good job for us, but it's just not the same attacking threat with him at right back. And then we start the game, and 7 minutes in, we lose our talisman striker, Josh Coburn. Hopefully, this is not as bad as it looks. So yeah, 2 big blows in the first 7 minutes, which would have an effect on the team. But in saying that, the first half, I didn't think we were that bad. We played some really nice stuff. Good move that had Leonard shot that was deflected wide. I don't know how the referee gave a goal kick for that. And then we had another break. Negley, he took it on himself, didn't he? But he could have either slotted Ballo in or Ivanovic in, and should have slotted one of them in. But 0-0 at half-time. Leicester offered no threat, in my opinion, at all. Could sense a little bit in the crowd half-time though, a little bit nervy, etc. But the lads come out second half, and again, we were by far the better team. We were the only team showing any incentive to go and win that, in my opinion, and the ball just didn't drop for us or didn't fall for us, did it? Chances I remember, Ballo header, really good save. We had a Negley ball sprayed across the 6-yard box, a couple of lads diving in it, couldn't get it, and then probably our best move of the game ended up with Sturge making a cross. Negley's made it a great first time layoff. Ivanovic, I think he scored. I think he's done the right thing, and then the goalie's just got a foot on it. That's why I'm saying the ball just didn't drop or fall for us, did I? Because yeah, that goes in on another day. And then that rebound fell to Denor, that was blocked. And then we had an Aziz header as well late on, which I saw it on the replay. He should do a little bit better, but he just jumps a little bit earlier and it hits his shoulder, so it's an easy save. Then we go 1-0 down. And fair play, Alex Neil has to change it because we have to go and get something. He makes 3 subs, and to be fair, Tommy Watson didn't really contribute, but Cundall and Bannon looked really good. And we score a great goal. Langstaff, really good move. Good Bannon into Leonard around the corner, and a great finish by Langstaff. And then, yeah, we had 8 minutes of injury time there, but fortunately it didn't drop for us. But look, it's a point. We will know at 2:30 tomorrow afternoon whether it's a very good point or not. I can't see Ipswich winning all these 3 games. They are going to drop points, but yeah, how many they drop, you never know. And if they don't drop points, fair play to them if they go and win all 3. But look, the other way of looking at that point is it keeps Middlesbrough and Southampton 4 points behind us, even if they win their next game. So it's in our hands to finish in the top 3. So if we're not second, at least we're third, hopefully, and we get that second leg at home. Last thing I want to say is we're going to finish the season with the best away record in the league, 41 points, which is phenomenal. We haven't lost away since the 10th of January at Coventry, and that night we were absolutely brilliant and should have beaten Coventry. So it's a great run we're on away from home, and if it is the playoffs, that will lead us in good stead that we go away for the first leg, and hopefully we can get a result if it is the playoffs, and then bring them back to the den under the lights. Anyhow, hope you had a good trip back to London, and yeah, be over for the Oxford game next week. Take care.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Achtung Millwall. If you're tuning in via Spotify or YouTube, please feel free to comment, like or subscribe as you see fit. God bless. Until the next show then, it's bye for now.
Who do you want to watch?